center and whatever was across the street. I remember it was a parking garage or whatever it was.
Salt Lake City. What year was that?
1993, Labor Day weekend, 93.
Okay.
When I was on this pedestrian bridge, I heard this commotion down below.
I have the same job.
I heard this commotion down below, and I looked over, and there was this crazy guy on a traffic circle. And I started listening, and he was saying funny things, and it was really great. And I was thinking, what a shame. He isn't going to be speaking tonight at the banquet. He's out here on the traffic circle. Well, little did I know that he actually was going to be there on the banquet. And he was a hit. And the people from the Illinois liked him enough that he was invited, I think, to our next state convention to speak. That was in Palatine, as I recall.
We did Harlan once.
He was a speaker at our 2002 convention as well.
And wait a minute, I was doing a set in a traffic circle? I totally did not remember that.
You don't remember that?
That would be on TNT.
It was a traffic
Write it down.
It was a traffic island. There was
I stood up on a traffic island in the middle of traffic and started doing.
Yeah, you had like a bullhorn or something.
You're thinking of when Blagojevich did the speech in the middle of the highway.
Apparently you don't remember that?
You concerned me there for a minute. I got high at that convention. I didn't get that high.
And the weed wasn't even that good back then, right?
It was that good Utah weed, man.
Mormon weed.
Then again, you people all know Reason Magazine, is kind of our outreach magazine that kind of is to encourage people to become libertarians because it has good ideas. Well, there's another magazine that most of you probably don't know about. It's called Liberty.
Yep, I remember that.
And it was more of an insider kind of thing. They talked about what the politics was in the Libertarian Party and so on. And all of a sudden I looked at there and I had a bunch of these little blurbs of crazy things that happened in it.
That was pre-Twitter.
One of the contributors was Tim. It was one of the things, and that thing lasted until Bradford died. He was the founder.
What was it exactly?
Bill Bradford.
What was in Liberty?
There would be little paragraphs that we would all contribute at the beginning. I think it was called reflections or something like that.
It's sort of like rip packs.
Yeah.
In the Reason magazine.
Right.
It's sort of like that. People have goofy things that they found the government did where.
Kind of like Penn stupid regulation of the week.
And the guy that founded it, his name's Bill Bradford, he had a coin shop in East Lansing and Crandor Shopping Center for years. Then he moved out to Seattle or someplace.
Washington, Port.
Someplace out there.
Yeah.
And that's where the magazine was. And then when he died, it printed a few more issues. And then it went all electronic. And the last time I checked, it was still on there. But I don't know if anybody's looking at it.
Yeah, it's Liberty Unbound.
Yes.
The website was down for a while. I heard that it's back up, but I haven't.
I subscribed to it for years.
Well, I really like that. One guy that does, it's an English professor or something, he analyzes politicians' speech for all their goofy things. I can't remember his name right now. Enough said, I think that it's time, I only one thing, we have to make sure that we have a defibrillator in before we let him get started.
Make sure you have what?
A defibrillator.
Oh!
Might give some people a heart attack.
I've
been here.
I'm not used to actually speaking. I do jokes. It's a different format, so if you'll excuse me, I put a few notes here. Because Jim told me, he said, well, what's your speech about? Right. Yeah, what's a speech? I have no idea. So what I decided I would do is talk about, do we need to adjust this?
No, you're good.
Okay. I would talk about the using ridicule as a political weapon. It's, myself, I got into comedy because of the myth of the court jester. I mean, it's probably apocryphal. I do not know for sure. Oh my God, you have that. I've got a really interesting story about it. Is that I always believe, oh, here comes food.
Sorry.
That's okay, I was supposed to hold, wasn't I, Julie? I couldn't stop. I got introduced, here I am.
Proceed.
Is that the court jester was the only one that was allowed to tell the king what he really thought about him, because he would make the king die laughing when he did it. And for me, that's why I got into political satire, was because I wanted to be that guy, to actually humiliate the king. It was, yeah, that's that. I don't know how much success I've had at humiliating the king. I did write a Halloween tax bit. I know Julie knows it. Do we all know the Halloween tax bit?
Oh,
I don't have to. Okay.
I've used it on my kids.
Exactly. Exactly. I wrote that about 30 years ago. And since then, I've been accused of comics. Young comics will tell me that I'm a hack. And I go, what do you mean I'm a hack? And they go, well, you know, that Halloween tax thing, my dad did that to me. I go, yeah, where do you think he got the idea, asshole?
I stole it from you.
Yeah, exactly. It became a trope that actually became part of the national dialogue. And most people don't realize that this is where it came from. It's, you know, the kids today, they're like, oh yeah, everyone's doing Halloween tax bits now. It's like, well, they weren't 30 years ago. It was, I came out with it, I did it, and since then it's been a Payday candy bar commercial that I should have gotten paid for. I can tell you more about that if you want. Parks and Rec, the TV show, stole the bit. And there's been about 24 political cartoons that were kind of based on it. And now I see it popping up on Facebook as memes, is that, you know, take 30% of your kid's ice cream. And it's been attributed to Dennis Miller, Penn Jillette, Colin Quinn, everybody but me. But, you know, I don't care, because I think there's a whole generation of kids that understand the injustice of taxation. Which is why instead of raising taxes for the crap that's going on in Washington right now, they're just adding zeros to the Treasury. So I think it's because there is a resistance to taxes. So is it a victory? Maybe. I don't know. I'm glad you've seen the Halloween tax thing, so I don't have to repeat it.
What's your bit about the teachers being the only ones that want to
Well, that might not have been as popular. Is that I actually would talk about what I would always do when I would do the bit live. I'd say, okay, who thinks we pay too much in taxes? Big applause, you know, throughout the crowd. Okay, who thinks we don't pay much in taxes? And there would always be one. And I go, oh, we have a teacher here. And a lot of times when I would do that, the person at the table would go, how did he know? and then actually I say, yeah, is you have to teach kids about taxes, because the people teaching your kids are the only people in America that don't think we're paying enough. That is one thing that has to be homeschooled. And, you know, I know everybody's, you know, heard it before. In Europe they have higher taxes. You know, you hear that crap all the time. In Europe, they don't mind paying a value-added tax, you know. And I'm so sick of being compared to Europe. You know, it's a backwards place full of crooked teeth and tiny little cars where people live in cold water flats devoid of toothpaste, toilet paper, and air conditioning. They spend dinner time eating parts of animals we Americans use for pet food and fertilizer. Wash it down with a couple gallons of wine and a carton of cigarettes, praying that the combinations of lung cancer and socialized medicine might mercifully shorten their miserable little lives. the Europeans, so. Be a fine welcome to the McHenry County Libertarians, but
There you go.
listen to me talking like that and getting all homesick. But yeah, but that's you got to teach the next generation about taxes is what I. Let's see what else. Where are they going to go from there? I'm sorry. Presidents and other political figures, I think, ridicule is so effective that a lot of what we know about presidents was established by impersonators. If you think about it, Chevy Chase doing Gerald Ford established the fact that he was a klutz, that he was clumsy. Richard Nixon, Rich Little, and there was one other guy that came, David Fry, both made him appear like a crook. It's Frank Caliendo's, George Bush made him appear like a confused person. And the one that stands out for me the most is Tina Fey doing Sarah Palin.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
I don't know about you guys. I think Sarah Palin was one of us. I think she could have really gone far, but unfortunately she was humiliated by mostly Tina Fey. And a lot of people still think that she said that I can see Russia from my house, which she never said. Tina Fey said that. It's, I did two. Well, actually, I've been in this business so long. I've been able to make fun of every president since Jimmy Carter. So it's my Reagan was adequate. It's well. That's about all I can do for Reagan. I can do a pretty good Clinton. It's I feel your pain. While I'm at it, I'm going to touch them titties too. Pardon me, I'm used to working clubs now. A little more is permitted at the clubs, and that's how effective I think that ridicule is. Anyone read Rules for Radicals? Anyone here? Read? Just you? It's two.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, I wish I could have quoted it more better. But I don't have my copy. I gave it away, and I didn't want to give the jerk any more money by buying another one. But he said, yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure he's got an estate somewhere, some wing of the George Soros Foundation. Saul Alinsky. He said that ridicule is the radical's most potent weapon. And that another thing he said is that never get in a conversation over your head. Always resort to ridicule. And that's, if you think about it, that's what the left...
Now.
What?
That's what they're doing now.
Yeah, exactly. They don't...
Nazi.
That's beyond ridicule, though. I mean,
Sedition.
yeah.
They didn't know the meaning of sedition until the news told them.
Exactly. What else? And I guess this would be in closing. I'll do some bits afterwards. Don't worry. I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to make you feel gypped for that wonderful hamburger, Jim. Thank you. And for my stuttering and inability to focus, also applaud Jim for the beer. In closing, a lot of you might say, well, we don't have access to Saturday Night Live or the late night talk shows or any of these. What we do have access to is memes. Is that you can ridicule through memes very effectively. The internet has given everybody the ability. Find a picture, steal a picture, learn how to. There's generators, there's engines on the web that you can add the text to. If you're a little more skilled and have the money, Photoshop is great for adding text. I think that memes are just one example of a very effective way of ridiculing people in government, which we should be doing vociferously.
Right.
They deserve
The beauty
it.
of it is that it's like soundbite, boom.
Yeah. Yeah, is that, and for me, there's a lot of things. One thing is the space program that I enjoy ridiculing. And a lot of people said, you shouldn't be making fun of America's proudest moment. I'm sorry, I do not see the space program as America's proudest moment. I think America's proudest moment would be the day that I would be able to go to the travel agent and purchase a round-trip ticket to the moon. That would be America's proudest moment. And we were supposed to have that by now. We were supposed to have flying cars and jetpacks and round-trip tickets to the moon. And I think that's why there's so many kids. I think that's why so many kids are depressed nowadays. Because their future sucks. I had a little hipster tell me once that the future is going to be bicycles, windmills, and trains. That's not the future, that's 18th century Holland. No wonder they're all on Prozac. I mean, it really wasn't that big of a deal, the space program. You get a skyscraper full of rocket fuel, a little aluminum capsule big enough to hold 3 guys about the size of Tom Cruise, and just light that sucker off. I mean, that's all there was. People are saying they faked the moon landing. I mean, come on, I was around in 1968. Special effects weren't that good. It actually would have cost more money to do the special effects than just to land on the moon. It's incredible to me that people would think that. I mean, come on, think about this for a minute. $100 billion to bring back 3 dozen rocks? That sounds like a government program to me. If I've ever, I mean, come on. 11 years to get 12 passengers round trip? That sounds like Amtrak.
Yeah, it does.
I just.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I don't mind. So you're doing your job.
She's doing a fine job.
Applause. I don't know if you realize it's nuts out there. It's in here it's quiet and calm, but out there it's nuts. I do not. The space program it legitimately go. And I mean, come on, if they were doing special effects, wouldn't they be a little more elaborate? You know, because Hollywood couldn't resist. You know, the spaceships in Hollywood, you were able to walk around. They had bathrooms. They never showed them because it was the '60s, but you know they were there. You know, Scotty was sitting up at the urinal next to Spock. I thought that would have been pointed too. Never saw that. And actually, as a little kid watching the space program, the first question, because I was 10 years old, so the first question that always came to mind is, where do they go to the bathroom? And the answer was, they have zero gravity toilets. Zero gravity toilets, wow, that sounds cool. Can we see one? No. The Soviets are right on our tail. This is high technology. We're not allowed to show you our technology. And we all accepted that until about 5-10 years ago when that astronaut drove halfway across the country to beat the hell out of her husband's girlfriend with an aluminum baseball bat wearing a zero gravity toilet. And if there's anything that proves it's a government program, it's that right there. They promise you a high-tech zero gravity toilet, they give you a pant load of crap. Oh, what else can we talk about? I have a tendency to exaggerate. I think that's because I'm a guy. I think guys exaggerate. I actually saw I actually saw a televangelist exaggerate. He actually said that the odds of the scripture being a coincidence were calculated at 100 million billion to 1. Little tip for any up-and-coming televangelists. If you want to really convince me, use a real number. 100 million billion is not a real number. 100 million billion is an amount of money a fifth grader bets another fifth grader that he won't jump off the roof. It's like 11 zillion dollars. It means absolutely nothing. I swear, no one in this country can count past a trillion. After that, we just make stuff up. Isn't that how it goes? 100 million, billion,
27
trillion, gazillion.
It's a lot.
Buttload. It's probably a good thing that nobody can count past a trillion, because it does put an upper limit on the amount of money Congress can spend. No, if you can't say it, you can't spend it. No, that's in the Constitution. No, Nancy Pelosi is forbidden from coming on the floor of the House and going, in fiscal 2016, I project we're going to spend a buttload of money. 30 trillion right now. That's what we're 30. How do you run up $30 trillion of debt? You know, Visa cut me off when I had 30 grand. And after that, they started calling me. like they're my friend. Mr. Slagle, you had $30,000 in debt last year. And I go, oh no, you don't understand. You see, last year I ran a $30,000 budget deficit. Just a part of my personal economic stimulus package. Well, you know what? I was going to spend $60,000, but you cut it off at 30. So hey, with your help, I cut that deficit in half. I don't care how you're figuring it. You owe us $30,000. I go, oh no, you got that wrong too. You see, last year, you purchased $30,000 of high-yield junk bonds in the Tim Slagle Corporation. In the future, I suggest you be a little more shrewd with your investment procedure. Boy, you think for $30,000 I would have got a phone that you didn't have to hang up by going like that. You know what that is right there? That's how long I've been doing that bit. Yeah, I think it was $6 trillion when I started doing it.
That's one hell of a coke habit.
Yeah. No kidding. And why wouldn't we be? Look at the stupid stuff we're spending money on. Right now we're thinking of forgiving student debt, which and I understand it's a problem for young people. But I mean, come on, there should have been some warnings along the way, right? We're a nation of warnings. You can't go anywhere without warnings. You buy a pack of cigarettes and say, well, these might give you cancer. You go into a casino, it's going to say you might have a gambling problem. It should be right there in every college catalog, right next to Gender Studies 101. It should say, you know you're not getting a job with this. Yeah. And here's what I think is that it's not how America works. You don't ask the taxpayers to pay it back. If you go to Target and buy a crappy toaster, you don't say, well, the taxpayers should give me my money. But no, you take it back to that crappy toaster store, and they give you your money back. So if you bought a crappy degree that won't pay you enough money to repay the loan you took out to acquire that degree, you should take it back to the crappy university that sold it to you. Art schools, wait a minute. Art schools have what? Yeah, gender studies, art. That's another thing, man. It's kind of like there's only one job in gender studies. that you're going to get with a gender studies degree, and that's gender studies professor. Right? You know, because if you can convince 50 other young people that they should also be gender studies majors, you'll make like $12 million for the university and send out 50 more young people looking for 50 people apiece. It's kind of like an academic pyramid scheme. Yeah, multi-level marketing. University of Amway. Ponzi state. You know, like I said, art schools, same business model for centuries. Every year, the art schools of America put together 300,000 crappy artists out on the street with the 300,000 crappy artists from last year. 300,000 crappy art. And I blame refrigerators.
What?
Yeah, because what happens the very first time a little kid comes home with his very first crappy painting? Bam! Right there on the refrigerator.
That makes sense.
And it doesn't matter how crappy it is. It's still going to end up in the same place of honor. He could find a paper bag and scratch on it with a dirty stick. Same place. He doesn't know because he gets praised. They say, oh, we love the colors you've chosen here. And the perspective is really interesting. It's a three-fingered postman. And that would have never happened in my grandparents' day. Let me tell you. Because our great-grandparents were brutal. Kid come home, grandparents come home with their very first crappy painting, be like, you know what, sweetie? I would love to put that up here on the ice box, but it's made of wood. Magnets don't stick. Scotch tape is yet to be invented. Why don't you just take that outside and feed it to the goat? Maybe you'll be a veterinarian someday.
A useful job.
Kids today don't know. Kids don't know. They think they must have done something special to end up in the gallery Frigidaire. They think they'd be an oohed and awed and praised, and they say, well, you know, maybe I could be a famous artist someday. And $200,000 later, a neck tattoo, they're working at Starbucks complaining about paying back their student loan. Okay. I'll give them this. If we're going to pay back the student loans, you should also pay back my visa. Because let me tell you, I got an education running up that visa bill. I learned stuff they do not teach you in college. I learned that there's no such thing as Nigerian royalty. I learned that you never hit on 17. And you never double down on scotch. I learned that from the third floor balcony, the hotel swimming pool looks a lot closer than it actually is. That a leg cast costs more than a jet ski. That you never take a swing at a cop. And that bail bondsmen take Visa. All in one wild night of higher academics. Okay, here's a newer one. Have you seen all these, Julie? I don't know the last time you saw me work.
No.
Oh, good.
This is new to me.
Usually in Indiana, which is a little bit of a drive.
You went to Indiana? What was that?
No, I think
Oh,
the last
okay,
time
okay.
or
Right.
two, it's been in Indiana.
Okay.
When he was on the traffic meeting.
Yeah, the bullhorn. Was that the guy with the bullhorn? Was that the guy that was the Brigham Young impersonator? Do you remember that? It's all exciting.
the Brigham Young impersonator. It was so much fun. We did like a protest, and we walked into Temple Square, and there was a guy dressed up like Brigham Young, which I would have never I had no idea what Brigham Young looked like, but everybody knew. Because like there'd be people from all over the world coming to, it's like the Mecca of Salt Lake City. It's like people come from, Mormons from all over the world come to visit Temple Square. And he's walking around like Brigham Young, and they're thinking it's like Disney. They're thinking they're hiring Brigham Young impersonators to walk around and have their pictures taken with everyone. And he gets up there in Temple Square and he goes in the middle, and there's something about, I can't remember, there's a quote by Brigham Young, and he actually like taps it with his cane. And meanwhile, all these people, like look like Secret Service. They're like talking into their lapels, and they're watching. And he taps right on this thing that says that it's always the duty of every citizen to question the government or something like that. And he's like tapping it and saying out loud. They go, "Okay, close it." And they pulled us out of there. But that's my fondest memory of Salt Lake City. I'm sure a lot more fun things happened that I don't remember. That's why when you said talking in the traffic circle, I went, that one reminded me of that one before.
$30,000 credit card bill.
Exactly.
Those horrid prostitutes.
I saw this in the news, and I think it's fascinating, is that they found that self-driving cars are involved in accidents at 5 times the rate in human-driven cars. Have you heard this? They actually did a study. 5 times the rate for self-driving cars. And the funny part is, the reason why is that self-driving cars are programmed to obey the law. Humans don't work like that. A self-driving car, the electric eye on the car will see a light turn from green to yellow, and the algorithm tells the car to apply the brakes gradually to come to a complete stop before it reaches the intersection. A human-driven car sees the light turn from green to yellow, and the algorithm says floor it. Right through the self-driving car parked at the intersection. You can see where there's going to be a bit of a conflict here. Out on the expressway, speed limits are set by democracy. Isn't that how it works? We all kind of rattle along at the same speed, until somebody just kind of zips past everyone. And that becomes the majority candidate of choice. Everyone votes for that to be the speed limit. Registers their ballot right there on the cruise control. Society moves forward at a much quicker rate, until there's some third-party jerk in the left lane doing 55. Green party dink. Either that or a cop. Because, cops don't like us choosing for ourselves. You know why I pulled you over? Yes, because you hate democracy. So as far as I see it, there's only 2 solutions to rectify this problem. Solution number 1 would be to make all the cars self-driving, and screw that. And younger people will say, well, that's just because you're old and you don't like technology. It's like, no, it's because I don't like handing over our rights and privileges to robot overlords. I know the robot wars are coming. I know who's going to win. I know that the future of humanity is destined to be nothing more than the reproductive organs for our robots. I don't want to make it that easy. Because once you let them start driving our cars, the next thing you know, they're going to want to control the radio. And I hate techno. And the other solution is we just program robots to violate the law.
Okay.
Well, that's a little more dangerous. You'll be coming home one day and you can't find your husband. You'll go, Roomba?
What?
Have you seen my husband? Yes. I discovered he was the source of the dirt. I was programmed to eliminate the dirt. It should no longer be a problem. And I think I need to be emptied. Thank you so much for having me come out here tonight. I really enjoyed myself. Thank you for the beer, Jim, and the burger. It's, any questions anybody wants to ask while we're open the floor? Anything?
Where are you gonna appear that we can see you?
I will be, the next thing, it's my calendar is greatly reduced because of the pandemic. I have 2 gigs coming up. One in, I think it's outside of like Champaign, Urbana, and the other one, that's the 23rd of April, and that's the 24th, and the 23rd I'm in Carterville, Illinois. So locally, nothing right now.
When you say locally, do you mean Chicago?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for
I used to
coming
work
out here.
I used to work Rockford a lot. There was a club, Italian name. There's an Italian restaurant there that I used to do a lot. I have the booker who books that room now, who took it over, does not find me funny. So I don't know when I'll be there next.
Well, we do.
Pardon?
We do.
Hey, Tim, I got one kind of question, comment. You were talking about this whole space program thing, and I remember back, you remember the Muppet Show back in the late 70s?
Yeah.
They did something called Pigs in Space.
Yeah.
And it was really funny, Miss Piggy and all that. But then subsequent to that, wrote an article about NASA and so on, and that was titled Pigs in Space. In the Reason magazine article. Just kind of taking down the whole waste of the whole space program.
Oh, it's ridiculous. You know, and that's what it's something that delights me and then pisses me off at the same time. Is that right now is that private industry in space is actually putting space travel for civilians on the horizon, and it's
Except it's highly subsidized.
it's going to be, you know, it's because Elon Musk figured out a way to get satellites in space for like 10% of the cost of NASA. Yeah. So it's you know it's the military is going to want that too, and you know they couldn't figure out anything after the shuttle. I mean, the shuttle came out at the same time as the K car. Could you imagine if the government actually controlled auto production, we'd still be driving K cars.
That's true.
No, and I understand what you're saying. I mean, Bernie Sanders actually came out and he complained about Bezos and Elon Musk and the billions that they have, and they said, you know, with 3% of their money is not gonna. It's like, you know, shut up, Bernie. You're going to take their money and build trains and bicycle paths. What are they doing with their billions? They're taking us to space. They're giving us the future that we were promised. That's my opinion.
Although Elon couldn't have done his electric cars without a lot of subsidies.
Oh, no, I agree with that, yeah.
I mean, pay rich people to buy electric cars, so that's a brilliant idea, I guess.
Yeah, but watching those rockets land on that ship was truly amazing.
It looked fake. I mean, that's how rockets landed in 1950s science fiction. Right. Because that's the only way they could figure out how to do it is launch a rocket and then run the film backwards. So that's how rockets landed. They went.
That's how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's innovative.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's always a pleasure to work for a receptive audience, and libertarians have never been kinder to me than any other audience. Thanks.
One other place I remember seeing you 91, didn't you play the LP convention? I think there was a dinner over at the Omni on the east side of Michigan Avenue. And I think you had a routine at the end of that dinner. But I believe it was Labor Day weekend 91.
Labor Day weekend night, boy, I don't, probably.
I think
Was it the LP or was it Heartland?
not on your mic.
Because I've done several.
It was a LP National Convention. The 92 presidential nominating convention was Labor Day weekend 91. Because back in the day, we did it 14 months ahead of time, presidential nomination. And
Was that Chicago?
yeah.
No, I was at Heartland that year.
Oh, okay.
But it was right across the street. Was Heartland booked their fundraiser in conjunction with it. So it was right across the street, so a lot of people walked across the street to come see
That was
it.
it. That was it. Yeah.
Yep.
So you think it's hard getting gigs because you are politically against the country?
Yeah, there's been,
Is it because the audiences or just because the booking people are places?
the comedy clubs are really hesitant to book political comedy. It's when I first started, it made me, the fact that I did political made me a unique animal in the industry. Now, they're worried, it's so polarized now because of Facebook, they're concerned that half the audience is gonna walk out angry. So they don't like, they just want happy stuff. Yeah. It has.
Kelly, you're on the convention committee.
Yeah.
Do we have, what do we have booked? There's an audience that won't walk out.
Yeah,
That's
That's
what
the
I'm
ones that would really enjoy.
our next meeting is tomorrow.
There you go, you should bring it up.
October.
What are your rates?
October.
You should just.
Negotiable. I came here for a burger and 2 beers.
So maybe 3 beers and dinner?
Where's it at this year?
Kankakee.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Alright, I'll bring it up.
That wouldn't be bad for you, because we're in Indiana.
Dyer. Yeah.
Where's Dyer?
Oh.
If you're driving to Maryville, would you know that?
Yeah, we're married.
Okay, as soon as you cross the Indiana border, I'm right there.
Yep.
Okay, so that's like US 30?
Yeah.
Yeah.
US
okay.
30 and border.
All right.
Yep.
US 30.
Now, do you remember 2010 in Lincoln City?
Doesn't ring a bell. Go ahead.
That was someone's idea to do a libertarian event that helped promote our candidates. Lincoln City is like
Parked over in the public block, a block and a half.
10 miles, Lincoln City, yes,
You wanna bring your truck over?
Maybe I should move mine over
we
too.
went to some, it was like a
Dave, you got
candidate
to
club.
Take a walk for you.
And
You got prize.
Mason
A block and a half away.
was it Mason City? I don't know,
Mason
it was
City's
Lincoln.
Mason City is halfway in between Springfield and Peoria. And then Lincoln, Illinois is just east of it. There's a comedy club in Mason.
Okay, well, I don't think it's Mason City, I forget what the name of the place is.
You can always see Dave's license plate.
But
The boo.
anyway, we had our candidates and you.
Doesn't matter
At
if
this
it's
comedy club, and
it's
about
back
2 people from town showed up.
That's right.
It's probably, sounds like Mason City.
That's okay.
I think I remember it,
I
yeah.
have
I
pictures
just
of you and I.
sit down and score all day.
We took pictures of all of our candidates and you up on stage, because no one had to know that there was.
They were having a day,
audience.
call in, find your new football
We
team.
ordered in a couple of pieces.
And they spin a wheel, and whatever lands on that should be.
Being a small town.
I got the Indianapolis Colts.
I was just talking about that earlier.
It'd been embarrassing.
And that's it could have been the Bears again.
Yeah.
It was on the wheel.
Yeah.
And then in Mason City, yeah,
I don't know, man.
they don't
I'm
enforce.
totally giving up
what
on
they
the
said
professional
was,
sports, especially
chiefly
after
said,
the way
if there's
Major
someone
League
smoking
Baseball
in the
has
club,
behaved.
in a
I
bar,
was just like, I
It's
told
not a
them,
police
I said,
matter,
better
it's a
not put
health
on
department
any,
So do not bother us
baseball
about
games
it,
on the TV, because
contact
I
the
have
health
live
department.
to kick it,
And
and
they
if
close it.
I do, I'm not responsible, you will have to
That
pay
was
for all
his
this.
guy's comment.
That's why I
He said,
listen to
Place
the
on
live
Skype
game on
inside
the
the
radio,
bases.
so I don't break
The
my
health
TV.
department isn't open on Saturdays.
Right,
That was his
exactly.
comment.
But I have to listen to my Cubs.
He's going digital in the
Wow.
All-Star game.
That's the thing,
But
I'm,
right,
you know,
it's exactly the same
I
thing
I
with
have
the
to
whole
love
base.
Colorado, I like the nature of Colorado.
And get the car.
Some of the people are questionable, I mean, although
No, it's
a
not.
lot of them.
After I put pizza in the box.
Mason
I
City.
know, it's Mason, the club.
They're okay.
It's about
All
20
Yeah.
minutes.
the other people.
So yeah, it's about 20 minutes,
That's fine.
it's about 20 miles west of
Have you given up Coca-Cola to everyone?
Yep.
Does anyone want shirts or hats?
Can't hardly give it up.
Everybody left. them.
Oh, yeah. No, not everybody. Wait a second, you mean I left?
No.
I didn't know that. Shirts and hats, here you go. I already have a hat like this, but I'm gonna take one of each. All right?
You got.
Okay.
I gotta go out and get
All right.
my money.
It was Mason City. Did
I'll
they
be
have a
right back.
book?